Assalamu alaikum everyone. How are you guys? So we are here with the third part of the performance management and appraisals. We shall be discussing the types of performance appraisal methods in this lecture. I am Masroor Soomro, faculty for Human Resource Management, Sukkur University, and this lecture is particularly intended for the students of MS PhD deficiency courses, MBA and DBA. And we are discussing about performance appraisals and performance management. And the third part discusses about the various different types of appraisal methods that has been used over the period of time. This is an evolutionary stages that would be discussing that would actually lead us towards the modern or today nowadays latest modern methods of performance appraisals. So let's start with our today's lecture. Okay, who conducts performance appraisal? The very first question that our today's lecture starts with is who actually conducts the performance appraisals? Generally, it is supervisor who actually rates the subordinates or his or her employees for their performance. But it can be the vice versa. Employees can also rate or evaluate the supervisor's performance on various different measures and criteria. Depends how your company actually evaluates the performance. So there are various different methods. There are various different methods and types through which you can actually appraise employees. You are the boss, you are the HR department, and you want to know how the performance can be evaluated. So employees rate their supervisors, supervisors rate their employees. Team members appraise each other or each member. Peer review, sometimes referred as peer reviews. Employees rate themselves. Okay, we cross check whether we sometimes ask employees to rate themselves in self evaluation. Okay, we sometimes use, if you are connected with the sales or manufacturing facility, your job is production, then we use outside sources. If you are actually connected with the outside suppliers, investors, then we think about outside sources to rate our employees. When it comes to the suppliers, when it comes to the investors, when we talk about shareholders, we can think about outsource methods from the various different organizations. If you are a banking company, therefore we can think about the clients, about the bank department in which the manager is being evaluated or in which the employees are being evaluated. We actually ask various different clients are the bank account holders who come on that specific day about the behavior of the bank managers and bank staff. Okay, there are others also referred as multiple sources or 360 feedback in which an employee is evaluated by his subordinates, by his juniors, seniors, by his colleagues, peers, by many other people who are directly or indirectly connected to a specific person. Moving forward. So there are various different types of performance appraisal methods. The very first method is in the evolution of performance appraisal management. So the very first method that was once used was category scaling methods. There are two main types that we shall be discussing in this lecture. Otherwise, there are three more types. The very first type is referred as graphical rating scale. Okay, what is graphical rating scale? Actually, we graph an employee's performance on a graph in which an employee is actually measured on a scale of need improvement, meet improvement, or exceed improvement, in which you have only three levels and you are being actually evaluated on the quantum of three. Allows the rater to mark an employee's performance on a quantum indicating low to high or medium levels of a particular characteristics. Aspects of performance measured here. The very first is the descriptive categories. Descriptive categories are referred as the basic information about an employee's job. Oh, sorry, the basic information about an employee. My name is, my department, how many reports me and whom I report. Okay, what is my pay grade? Okay, whether I am an exempted employee or non-exempted employee. Then second part actually talks about job duties. That is the TDRs, tasks, duties, and responsibilities I perform. And the third dimension is the behavioral dimensions. The example of graphically rating scale has been given here. You can see it. So let me zoom it for you people. I hope it's visible. So very first information that is referred as descriptive type of information in which date, received, sent, name, department, employee status, full-time, short-time, part-time, whatever the case is. Okay, the little bit of the explanation using the following definition. Okay, I for needs improvement, M for meets requirements, and E for exceed requirements. There is a graphical rating scale or quantum, high to low, low to high, and you are being evaluated on certain responsibilities. Specific job responsibilities listed, list the principal activities from a job summary, rate the performance on each job duty by placing an X on the rating, the basic definition, basic explanation how you are going to rate your employees. So the very first type of the duty, that is an employee is being evaluated, inventory receiving and checking. So the position of or which we are actually evaluating is receiving clerk. So this person department is receiving and this person is a clerk who is a receiving clerk. So inventory receiving and checking. So how I am going to rate him, either he is going to be rated I, M or E. So I am going to rate him M. Second point is accurate record keeping, whether I, M or E. So where there are different, the overall rating. So you are going to give him overall score out of 100. So in the box provide I, M or E, you have to put any three of these characters over in the box and give a little bit of a descriptive explanation about why you have given M or E to this employee. So it's how the graphical rating scale was designed and used. Still, we sometimes use for the junior staff in various different bigger organizations where the managers don't have much time to explain, but yet it requires explanation for various different dimensions. So sometimes it is neglected and sometimes it is provided. Depends how the manager actually puts or rates the employees. So there are certain concerns, there are certain criticism that has been given, and for which this method was actually absoluted. It was actually rejected that this system or this rating method should not be used. There are certain drawbacks. So the very first drawback is the graphical rating skill restrictions on the range and type of the rater responses. Say for instance, let me get back to you. So say for instance, if an employee lies between I and E, the below expectations or exceed expectations. So how we are going to put an employee here or there? So we don't have much choice and we are actually don't having any more types. So there is a restriction on the range and type of the rater response. Difference in rater interpretation of the scale items, meanings, and scale range. So for me, I don't know what meet expectation may be. So for I will be defining meet expectation in a different way. Another manager might be defining in another way. An employee would be thinking about meet expectation in a different way. So there is misinterpretation from the either side can, it's possible that it come. The scale ranges are very much narrow. So how we are going to scale the person? We have only choice of three, either exit E, M or I. So what about in between, the people in between? The third point is the rating from deficiency limit, effectiveness of the appraisals. So when you have a very limited range of rating, So you are going limit effectiveness of the appraisal, so this appraisal becomes ineffective. Poorly designed scales that encourage returns errors. So a scale is poorly designed. So there is a possibility that what if I am actually confused to give an employee M or E? I want to give an employee an M E, but I think he is requiring M. So I am confused. What should I do? Where I should keep? I want to keep an in between. I don't want to give him M, sorry, E, and I don't want to give him M. So I am having a problem. So this is poorly designed scales encounter errors, encourage errors, return errors. So that is why this scale was actually rejected, and people said the system is not effective and should be considered as outdated or obsolete. Okay, category scaling method. The second type is referred as behaviorally anchored rating scales. We actually anchor the various different behaviors to be measured. Okay, ji, a rating scale composed of job dimensions. These are the specific descriptions taken, descriptions of important job behaviors. The communication for a teacher, communication skills an important description. It is the main job. If a teacher cannot speak, if a teacher cannot speak before a big crowd, a crowd of 30 or 50 students, if this person cannot stand in auditorium and speak before 300 or 3000 people, therefore this person lacks the main important job behavior that anchors the performance level on the overall scale. Okay, how we develop BOS. Identify the important job dimensions. You have to go through the job description and you have to identify what are the main duties, what are the main behavioral characteristics that are required to do a certain job. Write short statements of a job behavior. You need to develop one liner or two liner statement about a specific behavior. Assign statement or anchor. This statement or anchor is referred as outstanding, extraordinary. You have to assign anchor. You have to weight that statement, weight out of 5, 1, 2, 3, or 4 or 5 to that specific job. Set a scale. Okay, as anchor. So here it is how it looks like. So behaviorally anchored rating scale for a customer service skills. So we are actually evaluating a customer service representative, and this person is being evaluated on this skill, customer service skill set. So if he or she is ranked as 5 outstanding, so I am actually numbering it, anchoring it. I am scaling it as 5, and the anchor is outstanding, and the behavioral statement used here is used positive phrase to explain product. Okay, number 4 scale is offered additional pertinent information when asked question by a customer. So initially the problem that we were actually having in graphical rating scale was actually addressed here. So initially we were having this problem, either we have to put someone in need improvement, meet expectation and exceed expectations. Now we have in between certain figures where we can actually rate these implies, but still we have only scale of a 5. What about in betweens? So we are, this scale was also used as an obsolete, outdated, it was not effective, therefore it was again considered as redundant. Then we had another method that is actually used till date in many organizations, especially the bigger organizations. The company like Swiggy, people, company like Pakistan State Oil, companies like Bin Qasim Authority, the companies like Pakistan Steel Mills, companies like Angro, they use comparative methods. So the very first method that is used as ranking, the list of all employees from highest to the lowest in performance. So this method can be used in smaller companies. I can actually rank 10 or 15 employees easily in my department. But what about if the list goes to the 100? So how am I going to rank those employees? I might have certain problems. I might have confusion. So there are drawbacks. It does not show size of difference in performance between employees. I might get confused by there are A and B. They are both equally good. And whom should I keep as number one and whom should I keep? So I am having a problem. Implies that lowest ranked employees are unsatisfactory and should be kicked out of the company. Becomes an unwindly process if the group is very large and we have to rank that lot. Okay, the comparative method, the second method that is very, very important and very effective tool, was effective tool. It's not anymore, but it was considered, it is still considered as effective in many organizations. It is used till date. In fact, we teachers use this forced distribution curve or bell curve distribution or normal distribution curve. There are different names for this method. We actually rate employees using a bell curve. We try to scale employees following a bell curve. Since it's a normal distribution curve, therefore there is possibility that some employees would uh, should be kept in the bottom 10% and some employees should be kept in top 10%, and maximum number of employees would be rated in between. So causes ratings of employees to be distributed along a bell curve distribution. Let me explain you what is bell curve distribution. The bell curve distribution actually looks like this thing. So here the score 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and each anchor is being given in a scale. Okay, the scale is again further notified in terms of percentage. So bottom 10%, those who are unsatisfactory will lie here in this part of the curve. These people are unsatisfactory. The people who are actually still trying to approve or approach the meet expectation, the top. So number of employees in this scale is high. Nearly 40% of the organization employee comes in this part of the curve, that is 40%. And above expectation, the 20% of the employee of the organizations are rated as above expectation and 10% are rated as outstanding. So it's how we actually manage our performance of the employees. And this is what we teachers also use and try to create when we evaluate students in the class. We try to create a bell curve because there's possibility that should be 10% students who will be weak and 10% students will be there who will be extraordinary and outstanding. And most of the employees would come under the head of meet expectation. They might end up securing B grades or B plus grades. Okay, the narrative method, another method of performance appraisals, once used, but it's highly ineffective. It is not used anymore. What There are two different types. One is the critical incident. What we are going to do in this method of evaluation, we actually note critical incident about any employee, and we keep a record or log of an employee's achievements and an employee's failures. Success and it's a list of success and failure of an employee over the period of an year or over a period of semi-annually, depends. So manager keep a written record of highly favorable and unfavorable employee actions. Drawbacks. Okay. Variation in how managers define a critical incident. Okay, what is critical for me may not be critical for another manager. So this was another problem. Time involved in documenting employee actions. Certainly, to define a critical incident will require me to give some time. So say for instance, I am heading 50 employees. So how am I going to keep a log of those incidents? That means I would be busy only documenting, writing critical incidents about every employee. So when will I be doing my job? When will I get some time to observe whether we are achieving our goals or not, whether we are meeting deadlines or not, what is the quality and the quantity produced in our production unit. So time involved in documenting. Most employee actions are not observed and may become different if observed. Employee concerns about managers' black book. Another problem is that employees are always concerned about that employees are keeping a black book which can be used anytime against them. Employee rating of managers. Another method that is used these days is actually employee rate their managers. There are certain advantages, there are certain disadvantages of this performance appraisal method. What are the advantages? Helps in identifying the competent managers. We can easily identify which manager is more competent, which person is more employee oriented, and which employee is production oriented, which person is task oriented, which person is considerate. So as per the motivational theories or leadership theories, you can also find out which manager lies under which type of leadership, whether who is transactional, which is transformational leader, which person is charismatic, and which person which serves to make managers more responsive towards employees. When managers would come to know about their lackings, certainly they would become more responsive towards employees. Contribute to the career development of the manager. Obviously, we can think about a manager who is competent about the succession planning. Disadvantages. Okay, the problem is there are certain negative people who consider that how dare employees, how dare these my subordinates are actually criticizing me, how dare they can point finger on me and my character, my expertise, my knowledge. Negative reaction of the managers is a problem. Subordinates fear that if I am a subordinate, if I am going to evaluate my boss, I have this fear that he might end up taking revenge against me. Ratings are useful only for self-improvement purposes. So managers can only improve themselves. These are the okay. Then comes the team or peer rating systems. So this is also a method in which, especially organizations which encourage teamwork, organization that actually promotes group tasks, project working, or cross-functional teams, these rating systems are very useful to evaluate these systems. Okay, the advantages and disadvantages of these systems are the helps improve the performance of the lower rated individuals. Peers have opportunity to observe other peers. Peers appraisals focus on individual contribution to teamwork and team performance. Therefore, there are certain advantages and there are certain disadvantages. These are self-explanatory. I think you can people go and study them. If you people have any questions, I would be available on another Zoom meeting and you can ask me if you guys have any question related to this thing. Moving forward, multiple source or 360 feedback in which an employee is being evaluated by 360 different people directly or indirectly attached with you or affiliated with you. It can be your manager, it can be your subordinate, it can be your co-worker or peer, it can be yourself, it can be your customers, it can be your supplier, it can be anyone who is directly or indirectly related to you. All of these people are going to evaluate you and rate you. Narrative methods. We have another method that is referred as essay. Manager has to write an essay on employees' achievements and employees' failure. Again, there is a problem that if your writing skills are good, you are going to write in a skill, you are going to express your feelings of okay, let me take a break since there is someone knocking my door. Let me take a break. Okay, so we were talking about the essay. So essay is a type of performance evaluation whereby the manager has to write an essay on the employee's performance. So if The manager writing skills are really poor. They cannot express their feelings about someone's contribution, someone's achievements, and if he wants to express disgust and he lacks vocabulary to express disgust, so he might end up abusing an employee. So there is a possibility. So the drawbacks depends upon the supervisor writing skills and ability to express themselves is one of the very problematic area in order to go for this approval method. Okay, these days we are going to have this method, this very famous method that is used most frequently in every organization, big or smaller. The system is referred as management by objective, MBO, a very famous object method of performance management systems. Thereby, what management actually does here, an employee and manager sits on a table. They agree on a certain goals and objectives to be achieved over a period of time. This time frame depends what kind of goals and objectives you are actually working on. If these are the short term, if your performance management system is annually or semi-annually or quarterly, so it's how you are going to devise your objectives. The time frame would be defined is in that manner. So specifying the performance goals that an individual and his or her managers agrees the employee will try to attain within an appropriate length of time. Okay, Ji, the key ideas that MBO actually talks about is the employee's involvement creates higher level of commitment and performance. Since employees agrees to achieve those goals over a period of time, therefore this employee shows commitment, motivation, and he thinks that he shows or expresses the self-efficacy that he believes in his efficiency. He can achieve those goals, and this is what makes this system of management appraisals more effective in achieving our goals. Employees are encouraged to work effectively towards achieving the desired results. The third thing is the performance measures should be measurable and define the results. As we have been talking over the period of time that goals has to be smart, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely framed. And nowadays, we are actually attaching another thing that is stretchable. Since we are living in an environment, in an era that is referred as VUCA, everything is volatile, ambiguous, complex. The stages, there are three stages. There are four stages of MBO process. The very first process is the very first step is referred as every manager, employee and manager has to review the job and come or end up with an agreement. The second stage is to have to develop the performance standards, develop objectives. You have to think about how you are going to be evaluated on those measures and what would be time frames. Continue the performance discussion over the period of time. The manager would come and again ask about your progress, if you are going to achieve those goals within that specified time, if you are having some problem, if you need any kind of assistance, the manager would be always available for you. So this is how the MBO management process performance appraisal system actually works. So with this third part of our today's chapter, that is the types of performance appraisal methods, ends here. We shall be meeting our next meeting. Till then, bye bye, Allah Hafiz, Fi Amanullah.